Hello and welcome back to Station's coverage of the 2021 St Andrews by-election. My name is Laura Day, and in this short series of interviews, I'll be talking to the candidates hoping to become your next Director of Events and Services. I'll be learning about their plans, priorities, and of course, their personalities. Charles Barker joins me today. Thanks for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So to start then, why have you decided to run for election?
It's a big question. I just think that I would do a really good job of it at the end of the day. I have been here since 2016. I've sort of seen firsthand all the work that the union does in so many different ways. And honestly, I think when a lot of students think about the union, as much as the representation is vital, you pick an average student out of the union, they're going to think nights out. And I would really just like to sort of make that better for everyone else. I think I have a plan and sort of the ability to do that, especially when we're going into sort of such a crucial time for the union going forward. It's been closed for 18 months, so it is going to be a difficult time, but I think and I know I'm the person to do that.
You mentioned their nights out, and obviously that's a really big part of a lot of students' experience.
Yeah.
Many students will also be feeling quite anxious, COVID anxiety, they'll be worried about emerging out of lockdown.
Yes.
You're going to ensure that they are still able to enjoy student life.
Yeah, so I think you'll notice in my manifesto, I tried to sort of shy away from COVID. I do appreciate I'm sort of being a bit optimistic. The reason I did that is because we've had the past 18 months for union management to sort of figure out COVID protocols. And I figured it was a bit of a given that, if COVID does go worse again, I would already be able to sort of use what's already been developed. Obviously, I would still keep trying to make it better. I recognize that, 18 months down the line is different to month one, and we are all sick of, online pub quizzes and everything. So I would really hope that, I am optimistic that it shouldn't be too much of an issue much longer, considering that there are things like vaccination in this country. At the very least, the university is planning to help vaccinate other people who, if they come from countries where their vaccination campaign isn't as far along as ours is, the university is trying to sort of get students who haven't been able to access it previously vaccinated. At the end of the day, the union is a sort of big space with a lot of people. I do sort of get that COVID anxiety, so I will still work with societies and groups and try to sort of still encourage events where they may still be socially distanced, or they may be still online, even when, things are all open now. It doesn't, just because things are open doesn't mean we have to completely stop doing what we've been doing. I think the real sort of thing I'll end on is you still have to give choice. Students still have the right to feel uncomfortable, and that's totally okay. And we still need to cater to those students, even if the building is open.
Communication is another really important word throughout your manifesto. You say you want to consult students about the different events and services that the union can offer them. So how do you plan to improve feedback loops between the student body and elected officials to ensure student satisfaction?
So communication and sort of getting people knowing what's going on at the union, it can take a lot of different forms. It can be direct student feedback by just getting more students directly involved, which I really want to do with events and services by creating a new events management team under ENTS. However, it can also be stuff like advertising spaces on Facebook, as much as it's a bit of a, what's the saying? Beating a dead horse, isn't it? We constantly say it's just on Facebook. And unfortunately, it's difficult to sort of engage beyond that. At the end of the day, it is just, I think it's really important to sort of bombard students with the fact, all the great things the union does, and sort of making them feel like their voice will be heard. Because I think that if you make, students feel as if they give themselves, even if it's 30 seconds or a minute or 5 minutes of their time to respond to a survey, for example, that is sort of quite powerful in getting people engaged.
You mentioned there lockdown and COVID fatigue, and everyone's kind of sick of the online pub quizzes.
Yeah.
However, something that's really helped that is the arts, and that's been really
Yes.
important for mental well-being. However, the student body, as everybody listening to this will know, is about to lose the Barron Theatre. How are you going to ensure that the performing arts remain alive and well in St Andrews?
The Barron Theatre is it was really, really disappointing when I sort of heard what was happening, and it felt like as well that was sort of done without consulting students in a way. It was just sort of, I know as a bit of a sort of someone that just saw it happen, it just sort of suddenly it was announced, okay, this is closing, and I was like, this is such an incredible space that it is different to the Buyer as well, which we need to really remember. The Baron and the Buyer serve somewhat different roles. There were services that the Baron provided that the Buyer didn't. So I think what's key as we go into talks going forward is that we need to continue sort of involving the Buyer Theatre, management, the university, mermaids especially, and the sort of societies that use it. And we need, like, I want to make sure that sort of, I recognize it's going to be tough because we are at the end of the day losing a space. There probably are going to have to be some compromises made somewhere down the line. I would really just like to ensure that the compromises made don't like severely negatively impact students at the end of the day.
I mean, obviously, we are losing a space, and that's going to require skills like creativity, resilience, organization. So how is your previous experience? How is that going to equip you for this new role?
Yeah, so my experience is definitely more in employment. I have been employed most of the time whilst I've been sort of in St Andrews. I started my sort of work in events at the Old Course Hotel. Now, I appreciate that while I have less event management experience as someone else, especially within the union, what I've sort of done to try and rectify that and sort of put people's minds at rest that maybe whilst I may not have as much experience, I've done a really well-researched manifesto. It's one of the, I think it's the longest out of all the candidates. I've like taken time to sort of, you know, make sure that everything is feasible, and I really tried to avoid just sort of saying empty things like I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. I have backed up with how I'm going to do it. I have already researched and talked to people that are relevant and sort of know more about me and picked their brains.
So in about 30 seconds then, finally, could you just summarise why people should vote for Charles Barker as Director of Events and Services?
30 seconds. Oof. At the end of the day, I hate using this buzzword because I think everyone's going to do it. Like, they'll say things like, I have the drive, I have the passion, you know, and I think that statements like that are a bit empty. But I really, really am trying to sort of convey, I do have the drive, I do have the passion. I recognize that the role of DOES is going to be difficult next year. Like, we haven't had events, like the union hasn't been open for the past 18 months. And yet I still really, really want to do this job. I really, really think that I am the person for this job. And like, as much as I've mentioned those sort of empty words like drive and passion, I know that I have them. And that's why you should choose me.
Charles Barker, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. I wish you all the best with the rest of your campaign.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
If you would like to hear more about Barker's vision, tune into the candidate question time on the 24th of August at 7:30 p.m. Thanks for joining me. See you later.
See ya. Bye.